Have you ever met someone who seems unbelievably intelligent, yet somehow accomplishes far less than everyone expects? They absorb information faster than anyone else. They solve complex problems in minutes. They can explain difficult ideas with incredible clarity. People constantly say things like, "You're wasting your potential. You could be incredibly successful if you just applied yourself. You have a brilliant mind." But despite all that talent, they procrastinate. They delay important work. They abandon promising projects. They spend hours thinking instead of doing. And from the outside, it looks like laziness. But what if that's only part of the story? What if the so-called lazy genius isn't simply avoiding work, but is trapped inside a fascinating psychological paradox? Because according to psychology, many highly intelligent people don't struggle because they lack ability. They struggle because their minds work differently. And sometimes, that difference quietly becomes their greatest obstacle. Let's begin with the biggest misconception of all. Most people believe laziness means someone doesn't care. But psychology tells us that's often false. Many people who appear lazy care deeply, sometimes too deeply. They want to succeed. They want to create something meaningful. They dream about changing their lives. The problem isn't a lack of ambition. It's the overwhelming gap between their vision and their willingness to begin. Imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain. Most people focus on taking the first step, but highly intelligent minds often see the entire mountain at once. Every challenge, every possible mistake, every obstacle, every future consequence. Instead of motivating action, this overwhelming awareness creates paralysis. Psychologists call this analysis paralysis. The more possibilities your brain generates, the harder it becomes to choose one. Average thinkers may simply begin. Brilliant thinkers sometimes spend weeks searching for the perfect path. Ironically, intelligence makes procrastination easier to justify, because smart people can always invent another logical reason to wait. I need more research. I should learn one more skill first. This isn't the right timing. There must be a better strategy. Each excuse sounds reasonable, but together, they quietly steal years. Another fascinating reason some geniuses appear lazy is because their brains become bored unusually quickly. The human brain runs on dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with motivation, curiosity, and reward. Highly intelligent people often experience enormous excitement when learning something new. The first chapter of a book, the first week of a project, the beginning of a business. The excitement is intense. Then repetition begins. The work becomes predictable. Progress slows. The novelty disappears. And suddenly, their motivation collapses. Not because the goal stopped marrying, because the brain stopped receiving the same psychological reward. This creates an endless cycle. Start, obsess, master the basics, lose interest, repeat, years later. They possess impressive knowledge about dozens of subjects, but mastery in very few. There's another psychological pattern that often hides. Beneath apparent laziness, perfectionism, people usually imagine perfectionists as hardworking individuals, but many perfectionists postpone action more than anyone else. Why? Because perfectionism isn't actually about excellence. It's about fear. Fear of producing something ordinary. Fear of criticism. Fear of discovering that their talent isn't as extraordinary as everyone believed. Imagine, gifted writer. They've imagined writing a best-selling novel for years, but they never finish the first chapter. Not because they can't write, because once the words exist, they can be judged. As long as the novel remains inside their imagination, it's perfect. Reality always risks disappointment. So they wait and wait and wait. Preparation becomes procrastination disguised as productivity. Another hidden reason lazy geniuses struggle is something psychologists call cognitive overconfidence. Highly intelligent people often solve problems quickly. They've succeeded without much effort before. School came easily. Tests weren't difficult. People praised their natural intelligence. Over time, the brain learns an unconscious lesson. If I'm really smart, things should feel easy. Then adulthood arrives, businesses become difficult, relationships become complicated, skills require thousands of hours. For the first time, effort becomes necessary. Instead of interpreting difficulty as normal, some intelligent people interpret it as evidence. They're pursuing the wrong thing. If this were meant for me, it wouldn't feel this hard. but mastery doesn't care how intelligent you are. Eventually, everyone reaches work that requires persistence. The difference is that some people expect difficulty, others feel betrayed by it. Let's talk about overthinking, perhaps the greatest superpower and greatest weakness of intelligent minds. Highly analytical people constantly simulate future possibilities they imagine. Success, failure, embarrassment, opportunity, regret, loss. Every decision branches into hundreds of imagined outcomes. This ability helps them solve complex problems, but it also creates emotional exhaustion. Sometimes the hardest decision isn't choosing the wrong path. It's choosing any path at all, because every option appears incomplete. Psychologists sometimes refer to this tendency as maximizing max. Don't simply want a good decision. They want the best possible decision. The problem: perfect decisions rarely exist. Meanwhile, people satisfied with good enough quietly move ahead. Progress often beats perfection every single time. Then comes another surprising psychological truth. Many so-called lazy geniuses are addicted to thinking. Thinking itself becomes rewarding. Planning, imagining, designing, debating, learning, visualizing. Success: these mental activities feel productive. Your brain experiences satisfaction simply from imagining achievement. Researchers found that vividly. Imagining success can sometimes reduce the urgency to pursue it. The fantasy partially satisfies the emotional desire. It's like eating the smell of fresh bread instead of baking it. Your imagination gives you part of the reward without requiring the effort. That's why some people spend years talking about their dreams instead of building them. The dream feels almost as satisfying as the reality, until time passes, then regret quietly replaces possibility. Another overlooked reason is identity. Many gifted people spend childhood being called the smart kid. Teachers admire them, parents praise them. Friends expect greatness eventually. Intelligence becomes their identity. But every ambitious goal requires becoming a beginner again. Learning a language, starting a company, creating art, playing an instrument. At first, everyone looks inexperienced. For someone whose identity depends on appearing intelligent, being bad at something feels psychologically threatening. Instead of risking temporary incompetence, they avoid beginning altogether. Ironically, protecting intelligence prevents growth. The people who accomplish extraordinary things usually become comfortable looking foolish at first, because beginners eventually become experts, only if they continue. Let's explore another hidden force: decision fatigue. Highly intelligent people analyze everything. Should I start this project or another one? Should I invest here or wait? Should I write today or research more? Thousands of tiny decisions slowly drain mental energy. By evening, even simple tasks feel exhausting. The problem isn't physical laziness. It's cognitive overload. Successful people often reduce unnecessary decisions. They create routines, schedules, systems, habits, not because they're less intelligent, because consistency thrives when thinking becomes automatic. Here's something even more fascinating. Some intelligent people secretly fear success, not failure. Success, because success creates expectations. If you succeed once, people expect consistency. If your business grows, responsibilities multiply. If your work becomes popular, criticism increases. Remaining potentially brilliant feels emotionally safer than becoming publicly successful. As long as success remains in the future, nobody can judge whether you truly deserved it. Potential becomes a comfortable hiding place. Then there's the modern world's greatest distraction: unlimited stimulation. The internet rewards intelligent curiosity. One article leads to another. One documentary becomes 5. One question becomes 50. Hours disappear. The mind feels active but productive. Output remains 0. Information creates the illusion of progress. Knowledge is valuable, but knowledge without action rarely changes life. A library contains extraordinary wisdom, yet the books themselves accomplish nothing. Someone has to apply what's inside them. Another psychological phenomenon explains why intelligent people sometimes appear inconsistent. They're exceptionally good at finding shortcuts. Shortcuts save time until they become an addiction instead of practicing. They search for a faster method instead of building discipline. They search for better motivation. Instead of repeating fundamentals, they chase advanced techniques. Eventually, they know every shortcut, except the one that matters most: consistent effort. Because despite everything we've discovered about intelligence, human psychology still follows one stubborn rule: repetition rewires the brain, not inspiration. Not talent, not IQ. The world's greatest musicians still practice scales. Elite athletes still perform basic drills. Master chefs still sharpen knives. Experts return to fundamentals again and again, because mastery isn't built through dramatic breakthroughs. It's built through ordinary repetition. Here's perhaps the deepest truth of all: many lazy geniuses don't actually lack discipline. They lack emotional tolerance. They struggle to tolerate boredom, uncertainty, slow progress, delayed rewards. Invisible improvement. But those emotional experiences are the price of every meaningful achievement. Anyone can work enthusiastically when everything feels exciting. The real transformation begins when excitement disappears. That's where identities are built. That's where futures quietly change. Think about a bamboo tree. For years after it's planted, almost nothing appears above the ground. It seems lifeless, as if nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, an enormous root system is developing. In one season, it suddenly grows at an astonishing rate. People call it overnight success. It wasn't overnight. The invisible work simply came. First, human potential follows the same pattern. Your greatest breakthroughs often arrive long after your greatest effort. That's why consistency feels unfair. The rewards arrive late, but they almost always arrive. The strange psychology of lazy geniuses isn't really about laziness. It's about minds so capable of imagining possibilities that they sometimes become trapped inside them. It's about intelligence creating complexity where simplicity would have been enough. It's about confusing preparation with progress, knowledge with action, potential with achievement at the end of life. People aren't remembered for the brilliance they could have shared. They're remembered for the courage to turn ideas into reality. Because the world doesn't change through thoughts alone. It changes through thoughts that become action. So, if you've ever called yourself lazy, maybe ask a different question. Are you truly lazy? Or have you become trapped inside your own intelligence? Understanding the difference might completely change the way you approach your future. If you enjoyed this exploration into the hidden psychology of intelligence, productivity, and human behavior, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week, we dive deep into the psychology behind success, habits, relationships, and the human mind to help you better understand yourself and the world around you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Do you think lazy geniuses are actually lazy? Or are they trapped by overthinking, perfectionism, and fear of failure? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start an interesting discussion.